So Unit 5 should be pretty easy because it's very similar to Unit 4. Instead of doing congruent triangles, we're going to do similar triangles. So triangles that aren't quite identical, but they're close enough. You'll see that almost everything we do in this unit is going to be set up as a ratio or proportion. Mainly, we're going to use proportions for solving. Remember, a proportion is where you have two fractions equal to each other. Maybe you have something like x over 4, 9 over 2, and you would cross multiply. So 2x equals 36, x equals 18. That's solving with a proportion. That's the bulk of what we're going to do this unit. So we're going to start very basic. Really, you want to make sure you're comparing pieces that seem to go together. So looking at these two triangles, first I'm going to draw an arrow so I know that this is the top triangle in my proportion. This will be the bottom. And I need to make sure I know what goes on top, what goes on the bottom. 45 I would describe as being the left side of this triangle. So I'm going to say the left side is 45. For the same triangle, the bottom is going to be 30. Then I just need to compare them. 45 should compare to x because they're both on that left side. 30 should compare to 20 because they're both on the bottom. Now that I have two fractions that should be equal, I'm going to solve the proportion. When I do 45 times 20, I get 900. When I do 30 times x, I get 30x. Divide by 30, so x has to be 30. Hopefully that makes sense. X should be smaller than 45 since 20 was smaller than 30. That's just if you're doing a straight up, here's two shapes, they're similar, figure out x. Here I see I'm working with perimeter. Okay, so that's when I add the outsides. And then I need to know what shape I'm working with. In this case, I'm working with a rectangle. So I'm going to actually draw a rectangle. So as you know, pictures help a lot more. Since perimeter means to add the outsides, I like to put equals and then pluses at all the corners, so I know that's what I'm adding. And I know it's 60, so that's what I'm going to equal on the outside. Then it tells me this ratio stuff. Ratio of length to width is 3 to 2. Since it says the word length first, I'm going to put that under the 3. Width will go under the 2. I always call length the long side. It doesn't really matter. Since I know this 3 to 2 ratio, on the lengths, I'm going to go ahead and put 3x. Since I don't actually know the length, I just know it's a 3 times something. For the width, I'm going to go ahead and call that 2x. Having these ratios is super nice because it makes it really easy to set up. You just stick those numbers with x's. So then when I look at this outside labeling, I see a 3x plus 2x plus 3x plus 2x should equal 60. So again, 3x plus 2x plus 3x plus 2x equals 60. Make sure, even though this ratio only has two numbers, that you use each one twice. It's a rectangle. Rectangles have 4 sides, so I should be adding 4 different things. When I add all of these x's, that gives me 10x equals 60, so x equals 6. It asked me to actually find the length in width. So I'm going to go over here. I know my length was equal to 3x. Since x is 6, that means my length is 18. My width was equal to 2x. So 2 times 6 would have to be 12. I could add 18 and 12, 18 and 12. I do get 60. So this is my final answer. I can't just stop here at x equals 6. If it was a triangle, then you would have 3 outsides you're adding for perimeter. Just make sure you pay attention to perimeter and what shape it is. Okay, an extended ratio is a ratio that has 3 numbers involved instead of just 2. As soon as I see angles in a triangle, okay, well, angles in a triangle have to equal to 180. We learned that last unit. So I already know 3 different things are going to equal to 180. I know this. I know the inside equals 180. Okay? Angles, triangle equals 180. My extended ratio has a 1, a 2, and a 3 in it. Doesn't matter where I put those. So I'm going to say 1x, 2x, 3x. It does not matter. So 1x plus 2x plus 3x should equal 180. That gives me 6x. So x is equal to 30 degrees. It does ask me for the measures of the angles. So I need to go off to the side. For this angle, 1 times 30 is just 30. For this angle, 2x, 2 times 30 is 60. And then 3 times 30 is 90 degrees. So there are my angles. On this next one, you have to be careful. Angles add to 180. Sides do not add to 180. If I'm working with the sides, then I'm going to be equaling some total. Okay, so just like the rectangle, I'm going to be finding a perimeter. And I see perimeter is 24, so that's what I'm going to equal. My extended ratio is 1 to 3 to 4. I'm going to put 1 on the shortest side, so 1x, 3x, 4x. Again, it doesn't really matter right now. I know I have 3x plus 4x plus 1x. So 3x plus 4x plus 1x equals 24. 8x equals 24, so x has to equal 3. Okay, and again, this time it asks me to find the length of each side. So we go over here, say here are the sides. Okay, 3 times 1, 3. I guess centimeters in this case. 3 times 3, 9. 3 times 4. Remember, I'm using 3's because that fits. So really just pay attention to angles versus sides. Angles in a triangle make 180. Sides, I have to give you the perimeter. You can't magically come up with it. For proportions, I just wanted to review real quick how you do cross multiplying. Remember, should make sense. Cross, so 3 and y are across from each other. 2 and y plus 2 are across from each other. For the 2 and the y plus 2, make sure you put the y plus 2 in parentheses. That 2 is going to the whole thing. And then I have 3y on the other side. Distribute, you get 2y plus 4 equals 3y. Subtract 2y and you have 4 equals y. Because this is just a straight up algebra problem, I don't have to worry about decimals, fractions, negatives. It's just algebra. Y can really be anything. So on this next one, go ahead and do your circles. 3 times x minus 3 should equal 7 times x minus 3. 3x minus 9 equals 7x minus 21. I'm going to go ahead and do minus 3x, so negative 9 equals 4x minus 21. Add 21, and you should have 12. Once you divide, you get x equals 3. You can always plug in to make sure it works out. Now this next one's a little bit weird. That's why I called it the random real world problem. And it starts talking to me about the ratio of country to jazz. It's important you notice the order so that I can go and say, okay, well, if this here is the ratio, country came first, so it has to be the 2. Jazz came second, so it has to be the 3. Then it says the music collection has 45 albums. That's a total. So I'm going to go and I'm going to say, okay, so 2 is my country, 3 is jazz. That gives me 5 total in this ratio. Since I'm curious about country, I need to use the total number and the country number. So I have 2 countries out of 5 total equals how many country out of 45 total. So again, countries on top, total on the bottom. You just have to make sure you find this total. 2 times 45 is 90. 5 times x is 5x. Divide and you should get 16. No. 18? 18. Right? 18 times 5. So it is 18. So 18 of them are countries. If you wanted to find out how many are jazz, just subtract. Almost done. This last one's really, really random, really unrelated to almost everything we do in geometry, but it's called geometric mean. It's not the same as arithmetic mean, where you add them all up and divide by how many there are. You're going to set up a proportion so the numbers are diagonal from each other, and x's are in the other 2 spots. So this right here, this is our setup for geometric mean. That's all you need to memorize. And then you'll solve it. So if I'm looking for the geometric mean between 3 and 8, 3 over x equals x over 8. So numbers are always top left, bottom right. X's are bottom left, top right. Cross multiply and you end up with x squared equals 24. Well, to solve that, I need a square root. So x equals square root of 24, but as you know, we never just leave that. So 24 is 2 times 12, 2 times 6, 2 times 3, 3 times 1. Pair off the 2's, cross one out. So x is equal to 2 square root 6, because 2 times 3 that are left. So that's the geometric mean between 3 and 8. Similarly, if I'm working with 9 and 12, 9 over x equals x over 12. X squared should equal 108. I want a square root again. So x equals the square root of 108. We know not to be lazy. That's 2 times 54, 2 times 27, 3 times 9, 3 times 3, 3 times 1. Pair the 2's, get rid of 1. Pair the 3's, get rid of 1. That gives me a 6 outside and then the leftover 3 inside. So the geometric mean between 9 and 12 would be 6 root 3. And finally, our last one. This is for if you are given a ratio in words as well as a picture. It might seem super complicated, but it'll actually be really easy. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to slide the 7 and the 4 under these so I know which one goes where. So AB is 7. So here's AB. So I'm going to put a 7 just above the number they already labeled it. So I'm putting it above that 19m plus 3. Likewise, the 4 is BC, so I'm going to put that above the 12. Well, my problem actually is already set up. I will have 7 over 19m plus 3 equals 4 over 12m. So I always set it up so the ratio number is on top, and then I have my proportion. It makes it super easy. If you're not going to use your picture, this problem becomes a whole lot harder. So please, please, please use your picture. All you have to do is write numbers above the numbers that are already there, and you have your setup. Okay, and again, cross multiply, so 84m equals, let's see, 19 times 4 is, well, let's see, 4 times 19 plus 3. Then we distribute, so that will be 76m plus 12, subtract 76. That should give me 8, I think. Let me double check. 4 times 19 was 76. 84 minus 76 is 8. 8m equals 12. Divide by 8. So m is equal, make sure you reduce, type it in, math, enter, enter. M is equal to 3 halves. Please leave it a fraction, don't give me 1.5. That is it. Hopefully that worked out for you. Just double check some stuff. Yep. So the rest of these notes, the second page, that's on your own. That will be collected and graded. So that's your homework. So make sure you do that second half. Everything is in the same order as what your notes were in. So you should be able to easily put them side by side. You can rip them apart because, again, you're going to be turning in that second page. So don't worry about taking them apart.